Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Club podcast. I am your host, Graham, and I am joined by George
Hello.
and Jake.
Hello, what's going on?
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. As you can see, or maybe you can't see if you're listening, but my new backdrop is here, aka I have moved.
It looks
And a
pretty
new
different
mic.
from the last apartment you had.
It's very different, and in fact, everything is really different except for my headphones, I guess. But I've got a new mic, and I've got a new apartment. So yeah, everything is quite
those
different.
rich baritones.
Yeah,
Those
coming
rich
in.
baritones
coming through nice and clear.
Oh my! Yeah, I'm very, very happy with the new apartment. I'm in a great area now. I am very happy with this microphone. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here. It's been a wild week for me though. I still don't have my fiber internet back that I had at my old apartment, but that's a work in progress. So we'll see.
It's just
How of just
go ahead.
I was gonna say any exciting worldly news for you too?
I'm just about to move as well, so I've just been very
That's
just stressed
yeah.
out about a lot of stuff and busy and yeah. But
Makes sense. And you're moving too, right, George?
Yeah,
Pretty soon?
not like that soon. I'll probably be moving in. Well, we're building our house, so depends when we sell this place and all that stuff. So I'm not gonna get into all the details, but yes,
Sure.
I'll be moving
Nice.
as well.
Nice. Moving is crazy. But what I have been doing while I'm been doing all the moving stuff this week is playing World of Warcraft, which I had kind of mentioned last time that I was going to be doing. So my update is I'm now level 50, which
Wow.
is quite a big jump from where I was 2 weeks ago, which was basically level 0. Yeah, I've been. Some people will hate me, and some people will nod their head, understandably. But I've been doing the boosting stuff. I've just been paying people. Thanks to Jake helping me get in contact with some people on the server. I've been able to get hooked up a little bit with some boosting, and yeah, it's been great. So I rolled. My first character is going to be a Blood Elf Rogue. Because I just can't wait to go in and gank a bunch of people at release of the new expansion as we're all leveling up. I'll just be doing a quest, and then I'll say, "Oh look, there's an Alliance guy over there," and I'll just stealth over and gank him, and then go back to questing. It's gonna be great.
Ruin
I
this
can't
poor
wait.
person's day.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's I saw someone some Reddit comment recently where someone was like, "Oh yeah, I usually run there's a rogue specialization. There's 3 specializations you can do, and for each class. And so the best one for leveling, people are saying, is combat. And it's like, okay, it's more power, it's more upfront fighting, so it's better for just fighting NPCs and stuff. But this one guy I Reddit was like, "Oh yeah, I always level subtlety, which is like the assassination PvP esque, more on that side of specialization." They's like, I run that because I see a lot of Alliance and I just can't stand them existing. So I have to do something about it when I see them." And I was like, I also do subtlety for the same reason. That is an excellent specialization. So I'm really pumped. The closer we get to the release of the Burning Crusade, the more excited I become for all of this to kind of come together. So
Yeah, so how was it? Did everything just come rushing back when you got on right away?
yeah, when I first started playing World of Warcraft, I made a Tauren shaman, which are like these big, huge bull guys, which is
Mm-hmm.
totally different from the type of characters I would make nowadays. But since the Blood Elves and the new races weren't in when I first got into WoW, just like a day before the pre-patch hit, I made, for old time's sake, I made a Tauren shaman just to play around a little bit, and it was like I had played it yesterday. It was like riding an old bike. It was amazing. Like, I was like, oh, this is just like I remembered. There's a couple things maybe here or there that are a little different, but yeah, it was great to get in and start playing. But then then eventually I made the Blood Elf, and even that's been like, oh yeah, like it's all as I get up in levels and you get more and more abilities, and oh yeah, this ability, and oh this one too, and oh man, yeah, it just all kind of comes together, and I get more excited, and it's been a blast.
Dude, those
Nice.
nostalgia trips are so much fun. Just in anything. It doesn't
Oh
even have to be games. Just a movie that you really liked as a kid and it comes on, you're like, oh wow, I totally forgotten about this movie, and you're watching it, or books or games even. Those nostalgia trips are
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, it's been awesome. I can't wait.
Nice.
Speaking of nostalgia trips, have I had this thing come up on YouTube? This guy, Modern Vintage Gamer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but
Modern
he did a
Vintage
video
Gamer.
on um, emulation on the Xbox Series S and the Xbox. Uh, what's the new one called? Xbox
The
One
new
X.
Xbox. Good luck. Good luck
Yeah,
trying to
Xbox One
figure that
X.
name out.
Is that what
Series X, the new Xbox Series X with Super Mario Brothers,
Series X?
featuring
Okay.
Dante from the Devil May Cry. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's Series X is the newest one, but also the older one that's or the new version of the old one. God, that's Microsoft. Get it together. But
Seriously.
anyway, basically, it's a $300 console that you can buy that you can pay $20 to put it into dev mode and then load code onto it. And so there are apps, window apps that you can load on that are emulators.
Wow.
So there's the one that he featured doing this is called RetroArch, and he's just running all these like PS1, Dreamcast, what have you, all this really cool
Huh.
old games on an Xbox Series S,
Wow.
and it pretty good compatibility. It's not perfect, and then also
Sure.
Linus Tech Tips did a video on it as well after he saw that, and he cites Modern Vintage Gamer in his video. He's like, yeah, check his video out. I found out from him, about this, and we tried it too, and so it's something that's really cool
Wow.
because I like emulation as well, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
being able to just buy a something that's a little bit more affordable and get right into it seems pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of emulating on consoles and console stuff, I guess this is tangentially related, but have you guys heard about the Nintendo Switch rumors, the Switch Pro stuff or Switch 2,
Mm-mm.
whatever it'll be?
I've heard
No?
about it. I haven't really like looked into it too much, but I've heard that it's like it's I don't know. I don't want to say what I've heard because like some of it I listened to and it just sounds like absolutely false. Like they're saying you can play 4K on handheld and it's just I don't believe that, but
Yeah.
maybe it's true. I don't know. We'll have to see.
So the thing is, I'll say this with a caveat. I like sort of follow rumors on a lot of stuff. I have a lot of skepticism on a lot of rumors, but I'm not like a total skeptic. That being said, like Nintendo Switch rumors for like the Switch Pro or Switch Lite or Switch 2 or whatever it is, we've
Mhm.
been literally getting those kind of rumors since like the first day that the Switch launched.
Yeah.
So it's been like, I don't know how many years. It's been like forever, like what, 5 years, 4 years
About
since the
that.
Switch
Something like
launched.
that. 2017?
So yeah, which
Something like
seems
that.
really weird when you really think about it. That
Yeah.
doesn't. It
Or
seems like it
26.
was like
Yeah,
maybe
I
two or
don't
three
remember
years ago.
exactly. Yeah, it was yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So, but we've been getting rumors like that for so long that some kind of
Mhm.
Switch follow up is coming. So that being said, while we have been getting consistent rumors over the years, like it's coming soon or this holiday, and then like years go by and nothing happens, the reporting that's been happening recently has been probably the most substantive
Substantial.
of substantial substantiated, maybe that's the word I was looking for. It's been the most substantiated kind of rumor mills. Like Bloomberg reported on it, um, and Jason Schreier's with Bloomberg now, so I can't remember if he was exactly part of that, but there's a lot of things coming forward now, and it should be the rumor, I guess, is that it's going to be announced before E3, so we should be hearing about it pretty
Oh, wow.
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that was something you were talking about emulation on consoles, and this is kind of related. Is my personal plan for a Switch follow up is I got one of the original Switches. I got it like day one, and my plan has always been with my Switch, when the new Switch comes, I'm gonna buy that right away, and I'm gonna take, I don't know if you guys know this, but the old Switches, the initial launch Switches, have a hardware defect where you can hack them at any software level because of this hardware defect with the like I think it's the right or left side Joy-Con slot. You can just like stick a tinfoil thing in it, slide it down, and it just like insta hacks. So you can then load any emulation stuff on it whatsoever, and you can just do all sorts of fun stuff. So I plan to transfer all of my account and data and stuff over to the new Switch and just hack the ever-loving crap out of my old Switch, put emulators on it, and becomes an emulation machine, which personally, at this point in time, I mean, I love my Switch, don't get me wrong, but it would be more useful to me right now as an emulation on-the-go kind of thing than what it is right now, which, doesn't have a lot to play, so...
Yeah, I've done some emulation stuff on my phone. Like I replayed a bunch of the Fire Emblem, the Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem on my phone. That was super fun.
Right.
Like I hate playing like a Mario game. I tried Kirby as well, one of the Game Boy Advance Kirby games on my phone, and I absolutely hated it. I need like some tactile feedback. I need to be able to feel
tactile for action.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for a game like Fire Emblem where it's like, pause unless you do something, that was perfectly fine. And it's this was before the Switch came out, and I was literally thinking to myself, man, like it'd be so nice if we could take this was, I want to say maybe 2014, maybe even 2015, I don't know, but I don't want to say I had the idea first, because that's not the message I'm trying to get across. But It's just that idea of, man, wouldn't it be cool to get some of these actual major games on the go? Like, that'd be so amazing. Down years in the future, when technology is so much improved, I could get one of these games on my phone. But here comes the Switch and does literally that, except better. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
I remember thinking in high school, like noticing how the improvements of consoles over generation to generation, and then seeing kind of phones become like a bigger and bigger thing. I was like, because I think it was the PlayStation Portable. I was holding the PlayStation Portable, and I went, and I kind of had the aha moment.
I was gonna say the PSP was out before that, and it was
that's true.
That was out when I was in high school still, and it was crazy. Yeah,
like I remember holding that and being like, phones are gonna have what we have on consoles eventually. We're going to be playing all this stuff on our phone. And like, I don't know. That's not a prediction. It was a random thought I had. I was like, if they can do this on this, eventually, it could, because this is like PS1 on a handheld. Like, this is crazy. So I thought eventually maybe phones will be able to have this. So, I mean, we're arriving or have arrived at that point with things like Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
So like just kind of thinking about like, oh, I'll be able to play these Pokemon games on my phone that are like really old. It's like, yeah, but I don't think we really think about the fact that like thinking about that emulation, it's like, well, what about new Pokemon games on your phone? Well, not that we would get Pokemon on a phone, I guess, but think about the amazing stuff we'll get in the next just 5 years on your phone, especially like with Genshin kind of taking the lead of putting like a real game on your phone. So
well, there was like
games can get.
PUBG Mobile. It's
that's true. Yeah,
it's not as good as, well, in my opinion, it's not as fun as regular PUBG. But I tried it out like back when PUBG was in its peak, and I was addicted to it and play it every day.
I think I played some of the mobile game too, actually. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I was just, oh man, I'd love to be able to just pick this up when I'm just watching TV or watching a movie, or don't necessarily want to sit down and play something, but just have it on my phone. And it was good. Like it was actually decent. So, and then they also have now Call of Duty mobile as well. I think it's like Black Ops mobile or something like that. And I've seen some videos about it, and it looks great. So yeah, it's imagine what it's going to look like in 5 years or in 10 years even. So
yeah, if we're already kind of at that advent, just imagine. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, PUBG Mobile came out like right at the tail end of when I was getting out of playing regular PUBG. So, but I downloaded it just out of curiosity and played it. And I swear to God, I just played one game and I won first place. And I was like, okay, done. Like uninstalled it immediately. Like I won the game.
Yeah,
I beat the game. Yeah.
But I think it was because it had just come out, and like everybody was like probably learning how to play the game, and I was just running. It's like. It's not, the controls were different, but it wasn't, the game itself is like George said, is not really that different than the regular game. So I kind of like knew how everything worked already after playing. I think PUBG is over 1,000 hours on my Steam account. It's ridiculous how much
Wow.
I've played of that game. So
Wow.
yeah, I just remember winning, and I showed my coworker or whatever, like we were on break. I was like, look, I just won. I'm done. I'm never playing this again.
That's so funny. I think I was dating someone at the time that came out, and she wanted to play it, and so she's like, "Play with me. You play it on PC. You should play it on the phone." I was like, "All right, all right." And I do remember exactly what you're saying. Like everyone was just really bad, and I was just like, "How can everyone be so bad?" Because everyone's just kind of learning it, and we were already playing on PC and stuff. But yeah, it was fun. That was a fun time. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Not to pop your guys' bubble, because I'm sure you were amazing, but I do think there were
Oh, here
some
we
bots
go.
there.
Oh yeah,
Because
there's
I would.
definitely bots. I'm not
Okay,
saying
yeah.
there wasn't bots. It's
I didn't know there was bots. You
yeah.
burst my bubble.
It says it. I think it said it right in the game. It's like
Oh, really?
it's like it
Okay.
was something like 50% bots or something. But
Really?
Yeah, because I
I
saw
had
some of
no
those
idea
people, and I
about
was
that.
just like, okay, there's absolutely no way this is a human. Either they, drop the phone and are trying to reach for it, or it's a bot. So,
Okay.
and now
All
there's
right. Well, I
bots
probably
in,
killed a lot of bots then.
yeah, now there's bots in regular PUBG, which is, I don't know what the motivation was behind that, but it was just, yeah. I haven't played
So
PUBG
weird.
in forever, but when I heard there was bots, I was just disappointed is the wrong word, but just any desire to go back and try it out was just completely diminished.
What's the logic
I don't
to
the
know.
putting in
player base
bots?
did fall down. I mean,
Yeah, but the
it's
player base is still really big, isn't it?
yeah, but it's all about that time searching
Time to
for a
queue.
game. Like it literally like for the almost the entire time I was playing PUBG, it was literally almost instant queue. Like you were just in a lobby immediately.
Yeah.
So there was like no wasted time besides waiting for the lobby to count down.
Yeah.
But then when it started to
Yeah,
fall
I
off,
guess.
it fell off really hard too in North America, and it actually gained in Asia, I think. So that's another thing is like, I guess the player base really didn't go down that far if you look at globally, because it got so
Right.
it had such a longer tail in Asia, I believe, than it did in North America. So for us, it would have been having to play with a lot more people on, Asia servers,
Mm-hmm.
which we all know the
I,
controversy over that during
yeah.
PUBG, which was
All the cheating. Is that what you're
yeah,
talking
well,
about?
All
yeah, there was like
the
literally
cheating and
the region lock China, and everybody was just ranting
Oh,
about it all the
yeah.
time.
weren't the devs saying like, "Oh, you're all xenophobic.
Yeah,
That's
they were
why
saying
you
it
want
was
to do
racist. Well, I
this."
don't know if the devs were, but people were definitely having a conversation of like, you guys are racist because you don't want to play with these people, and it was to me that wasn't even a part of the argument. The argument is like
Oh no,
the connection is bad, and it
the
wasn't even
connection's
it wasn't
bad.
even the cheating. It was just more of the connection was bad because people cheat on all servers. But
Yes, but in China, I mean, I don't want to make too big of assumptions. Maybe I'll get flamed for this, but from what I understand, it's more acceptable to be cheating in that kind of culture than it is, in our, like, we more look down upon that. Like it's like if you can get away with it, then it's more accepted, and cheating is more rampant. And whether or not that's like if that's a stereotype, it could be, or if it's real, or if it's a stereotype based on something that's real, at the very least, more hacking does definitely happen on Chinese-based servers, whether whatever the reason. So I mean, it's understandable.
I just think there's a
Yeah.
certain amount of people in anywhere that will cheat, and there's just a lot of people on the internet over there playing the games. So,
That's true.
That's also, yeah, that's possible for
so it's
sure.
just a number. It's just a percentage of
Of
people.
a numbers
on,
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's entirely
actually a
possible.
very good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game
Yeah.
was fun regardless. It like
Exactly.
cheating didn't. There was a small amount of time where if I saw a cheater, it was kind of annoying, but then I just kind of got to where just didn't care anymore. I mean, it's not. They tried to make that game an esports game. It was never going to be an esports game, so that's not like it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be
Right.
Be fun.
fun.
Like
Yeah, and
Yeah, just
PUBG. Yeah. Yeah, like PUBG for me, it was just BRs in general. Because I haven't played Fortnite. Nothing against it. I don't know. I just even haven't gotten around to it or whatever. But um, BRs for me, so like Apex, PUBG, Warzone, they're some of the most absolutely frustrating games to ever play. But when you get that win, when you get the dub, it's absolutely one of the most. It's just I don't know. It's once you're done, you're just like, oh, because it's so intense, especially when you get to like the final circle or the final ring or whatever you call it, and you have, the last 3 or 4 teams, and it's just an absolute all-out war, free for all, just trying to save a life. Once that you finally kill the last person, you immediately just relax, and then you recognize what just happened, and that feeling is amazing, and it kept me going back for a long time. Now the frustrations kind of superseding the satisfaction, but initially, dude, that was a feeling I couldn't get anywhere else, and in no other game at all. So
Yeah, that I started on the cusp of the satisfaction and frustration being very similar. There was definitely satisfaction of winning, but I was just like, the time investment and the nonsense that can happen in battle royales is just too big of a barrier to me to have full enjoyment of it. I mean, I played like probably at least 100 hours maybe of battle royales in general, but
well,
I prefer
there's also a
other
game like
forms of
Fall
PvP.
Guys too. That's also battle royale.
I guess that's true, and I played a lot of Fall Guys. But that's like, I like things that are more based on like purely your performance. I mean, that's not necessarily true either, because I do like PvP engagement directly, but I do like things that have like a little bit less random elements into it, and I think the like where you start and what weapons are around.
I was gonna say it's
and
just
who
there's
gets
more
access
variables.
to what weapons.
When like PUBG
Yeah,
has
there's
way more
so many more-
variables than Fall Guys.
Right.
It's Fall Guys still
Right,
has
exactly.
those variables, but it just doesn't
Right.
have near as much, and that's what it's like you might
Yeah,
pick
the
a place
onus
to
is more on
land
your-
in PUBG and then realize that you didn't even see a guy that was diving right above you, and then he grabs the gun you were going for, and there's really nothing you could have done
And then
to
it's
do
game over.
do anything
Yeah.
about it, like right there. Just because you didn't see
Yeah.
him, like sometimes you just wouldn't see people parachuting above you. I don't know if it was a
Yeah.
glitch in the game, but everybody experienced that. They'd be like, I did not see this person, and now
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're in front of me, and I can't get any weapons. Or you land in a good spot and you walk through 4 houses and don't find anything but a pistol, and you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, well I know that everybody else has probably found something. You can hear everybody shooting regular guns, and you're like, I guess I'm just gonna end it with this pistol because
Dude,
I'm
or
not-
even worse, you'd land and the guns wouldn't even load. Like that was such a problem with PUBG. That was probably the most frustrating thing for me.
I never had
actually,
that
is-
problem. I think that
I never had that
yeah,
problem
I
either.
never
That
had
sounds
that
terrible.
problem once.
Dude,
With guns wouldn't
oh.
load.
So,
It was
no, it's not that the-
definitely a resource hog on any machine, pretty much.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I had friends who would be like, "Yeah, I'm just landed and there's no building here yet," and then like 2 minutes later, yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, I don't know. Battle royales are okay. I prefer almost every other. Yeah, so like you said, Jake, that's a good point. I prefer less variables and things that are more focused on your like skill dependent with less variables. That's what I
Mhm.
prefer. So, do you think going back to the bots, unless someone has a comment they want to add to that?
No, go ahead. Yeah, I
Um,
don't.
Going back to the bots, do you think that they add bots? I know that they add bots probably for queue purposes. That makes sense. Do you think that they add bots so that more people will win and feel good about playing the game?
I don't know
I
how
don't
that makes more people
know.
win.
Yeah.
They're still getting
Well-
the same amount of matches in, and only one
But if you
person
only
can
have
win
to
per
compete-
match.
Sure, but if you have to compete with 99 people compared to 49 people, you're more likely to win based on just the amount of people that you have to engage with.
I mean, you're still
Right,
gonna
like if-
you're still
if-
gonna have to beat the one person that's better.
Sure,
You know.
but in a match of 99 people, let's say there's 2 people that are like ultra good that have a high chance of winning. But in a match where there's 49 people, there's only one of those people or maybe none. And so you have a higher chance of winning because you're just like if you queued against one other person, right? Your chances of winning now, it's 98 bots, one other person, and then you. Your chances of winning have skyrocketed because all you have to do is kill this one guy, and it's likely that he's not good enough to beat you if you're at least average or better, right? Do you think that that is a factor?
So, are you talking PUBG specifically, or just bots?
I'm talking about, I guess PUBG specifically since we were talking about it, but maybe bots in general when it comes to battle royales.
Because like
Yeah, I don't
with
know
like
if I-
Apex. Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
I was just gonna say I don't know if I have anything to really say about that. Besides, I think they just did it to inject to keep the game going. I don't think there was anything else other than that. It's like they don't want to make smaller maps probably, and they don't want to change the format to have lesser people in it. So they're just like, let's just add bots.
Here you go,
And,
bots.
yeah, people like
Yeah.
there'll be a certain amount of people that are still playing the game that just like to shoot things. They don't care if it's a person or not that they're actually being challenged with. They just want to drive around in their motorcycle and get off and shoot something. So
I imagine most people don't even know that there's bots.
I would say if you're still playing it, you probably know what's up with the game. I don't imagine anybody just discovering it now and being like, "Oh, cool," and not knowing anything. I'm sure there's some, but not like the majority of people that are playing it have probably been on and off playing it for a long time and probably know what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Maybe for a period of time when there was like more casual people playing and less dedicated. Because the more dedicated you are, the more you're going to learn and know about the game. So that makes sense. Yeah, it's just speculation. I was thinking about.
Because so it's talking just in BRs in general versus something like PUBG specifically. First off, to just BRs in general, I guess it wouldn't really even apply. The question would apply very much because PUBG is the only major one I know of that has bots. But like with Apex, for example, you have the casual queue, which I suppose they could add bots to that if they wanted to. But you also have like the competitive queue, which it'll queue you up with people who are kind of around your skill level anyways. So if you were to add bots to that competitive queue, let's say, I would imagine the bots would be the first ones to die out, and then everyone else would just be around your same skill level anyways, which is the same thing that happens if no bots are there. But something with like PUBG specifically, where there is, as far as maybe they added it, but as far as my knowledge goes, there is no such thing as a competitive queue. It's just everyone in the same place.
In what game?
PUBG. I don't think there's
PUBG
like different queues. There's different maps which will queue you up in different stuff, but there's no like different, skill-based queues. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think maybe they experimented with having a separate queue for a little bit early on.
Maybe,
I can't remember. But I know Apex did have, I don't know if it still does because I haven't played it, but I know it had.
Yeah, Apex still does, yeah. Yeah. But I do see your point, Graham, where, if there's 99 people, like you said, there's a higher probability that one of those 99 people is going to be like a top 1% player. Where if there's only half of that, the chances are lower. So yeah, maybe that was a motivation. I don't know. I do think
like that's a thing. Do you agree at least that that's kind of a thing?
Oh, it's definitely possible. But at the same time, for me
Right.
personally, maybe some people enjoy that win, but for me, it kind of sours it a little bit.
Though, I think adding bots lowers the variability that a good player will be eliminated before you have to face them, though.
Hold on,
because
I have a door. Maybe we'll take a small intermission here. Hang on, the door just
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
and we're
I'm
back.
Sorry, I had a package just delivered.
Is
No
anything
worries.
fun?
It's a belt. If you think that's fun.
What kind of belt? What does it do? Is it
Uh,
a utility belt?
It's a utility belt. I'm actually an undercover superhero in Japan. That's my profession. No, it's just a mission belt. I don't know if you've ever heard of mission belts, but they're amazing. You guys don't know about mission belts?
Never heard of them.
After the podcast, I'm going to change your life when it comes to belts.
Okay.
I can never go back to normal belts.
All right. So anyway, what I was saying was I don't think adding
Yes.
when I so rudely interrupted George, I wanted to specify I don't think adding bots to PUBG, because I think I've seen footage of these bots, increases the variability that a good player will be eliminated before you have to fight them, and if even worse, they might get really good gear off killing more bots easier, and then be ready to face you. So I just don't think it makes that much of a difference of if you're gonna win or not. But maybe also people just aren't as serious about the game. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm trying to think out in my mind like what's the most probable. Like that less skilled, or that the chance of an ultra skilled player will be in your lobby when there's less actual players queuing up, or that if one of those ultra skilled players happens to be in your lobby, that they'll just sweep through the competition, like you said, because by the time it comes to the final, actual 10 players that are not bots, they'll be, geared up the wazoo from killing all the other bots in the map and just taking all their gear. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But to change the discussion a little bit, I don't think people don't like playing against bots, because Escape from Tarkov is like one of the most, right after PUBG and all those other games started falling off, that game just shot way up in popularity. And that game's kind of like a mix of run based and a battle royale. Like, you load into these instances. So the point is to like get to a certain place to leave, and anything that you carry with you.
That's the new one that was just announced, right?
No, it's been out
this
for a while.
It's pretty old now at this point.
Oh, hold on. Okay, Escape from Tarkov. Okay.
Yeah, but the whole point of that game is
Google.
like, I mean, there's bots in it. You don't know necessarily if there's going to be a person in your instance or at what point you're going to see a person. But there's lots of bots in that, and people play it, and they'll play runs and only see bots for like 3 or 4 runs, and then when they finally do see a person or something, it makes it more exciting. I don't know, but putting bots in the game is not necessarily a bad thing, depending on how you make the game, because people absolutely went bonkers over that game. I don't know why. I didn't like it.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
is that the
very
game?
Popular.
Yeah, is that the game where there's no HUD? Basically, it's so super ultra realistic, and there's no like reticle and stuff like that. I might be mixing my games up, maybe.
It's definitely got a I don't know exactly what it has, but it definitely has a hardcore feel to it. That's the point. Is like, it's a
very I'm looking at screenshots. It's pretty minimal HUD for sure, if any.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the one I'm talking about.
It's all about run based and like looting thing. Like, you have certain missions, I guess, you get from the menus before you go into an instance, and you can like get stuff to sell. And the whole thing is like just getting more gear and going to harder runs, and a risk versus gain, risk and gain, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the game is really slow, because they're just like, a lot of times people are going in and just kind of creeping around real slow and like picking off these, I think they call them scavs or scabs, I don't know, but that's what they call the AI,
the enemy,
that are the bots that are just running around. And I don't know.
Yeah.
So people play that, and it doesn't bother them that it's bots the majority of the time.
Yeah, I don't mind playing against...
Yeah, it would bother me.
Yeah, I don't mind playing against AI as a general principle, because, I mean, there's so many games out. That's all you do. But specifically for PUBG, I think for me, I didn't go back and play it, so I can't say it definitely soured my experience. But just the thought, I don't even know why. I wouldn't be able to put into words why PUBG specifically, it makes a win less rewarding, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you're triumphing over players purely, then it's a totally different experience than bots.
I would say if you play... Go ahead.
For PUBG or like a battle royale specifically, like if I'm expecting to play a PvP game, and the whole like drive is like, if I was playing Smash Bros and I had a chance to play against a bot, like I would just destroy my interest in playing the game whatsoever, right? Because I don't want to play against bots. I want to play against a dynamic person, right? So it takes away that achievement of winning, in my opinion. But for other games where like the purpose is playing against AI, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how we do it.
Yeah, I think speaking of that, this made me think of another game that was that was announced just recently, which is, did you guys see that trailer for Phantom Abyss?
Phantom Abyss. Why does that sound so is that the one with the crow? Or am I thinking of another one?
No, I posted it just recently. You guys may or may not have looked at the video when I posted it, but So Phantom Abyss is it's
Oh.
even more Fall Guys than I
Mm-hmm.
wanted, like even more like what I wanted out of Fall Guys rather. So you go into, so it's a procedurally generated, I guess, dungeon or temple, and it's this massive obstacle course, which is one of my favorite freaking things ever. Even in real life, obstacle courses are like the coolest thing ever to me for some reason. So it's like a big old deadly obstacle course that you have to go through, and the cool thing is, so they're randomly generated, and you have to get to the end, obviously. So when you go in, so let's say you have this brand new, no one's ever run it before. So you go into this randomly generated thing, and you run through just normally, and for the very first time ever, and you die. Okay, so now this level seed gets sent to other players when they go to play, and they'll see your ghost of your run, like a replay or like a Mario Kart Ghost or whatever, a racing game Ghost. And they'll, depending if they're ahead or behind you, they'll see where you failed. But all of the ghosts that you see are failure ghosts, because when one person succeeds at the level, that seed for that specific temple or dungeon is locked forever, and no one will be able to play that level again. So you know that when you go in there and you see these ghosts of these other people running these levels, you know that no one has beaten it, and you can be the guy to beat it. I think it's such like an interesting concept. I think if you really think about it a lot, it's kind of like, I had like a feeling, I was like, oh, well, it's just nothing. Like there's a million billion levels, so like what does it matter if you're the one who clears this one level? But something about the concept is kind of like intrinsically interesting, that like you could be the one to clear this level. No one else has cleared it. Like I don't care about like having that level. I just care about like I performed the best and I was able to beat something that like no one else could have beaten up until that point.
Dude,
I thought it was really cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
thought it was
interesting.
awesome.
So it kind of is like I see it, if people really get a community around it, kind of like a arcade type high score thing, because people
Mm-hmm.
will be counting how many runs you've cleared, and that'll be like it'll be something, if they're that hard, that's a part of the game. Is like, it's a huge thing when you clear one that like nobody else gets to run that run. Then it's not really like the collecting of that specific thing, like that specific run. It's more just that you have another notch on your belt, in my opinion. Unless
Right.
one is specifically really crazy, and if they like save the replay like in some sort of museum that you can like present to people and be like, look how crazy this one was. It was like you had to do this and then
You
this,
probably
and then people will be on YouTube doing analysis of it, like, oh, this runner's really good at this type of thing, and look how he made it through this. Yeah, it could be fun.
Dude, yeah, 100%. I'm
Excuse
sure
me.
with like the way they're doing the replay stuff, I'm sure that they'll have some access to replays in some way or shape or form. I would love, like, this game is going to come out in early access in June, so in just like next month. I would really love for them to have some kind of support for like friends, to be like, okay, here's like a specific seed that's only for us, because there's a billion jillion possibilities for seeds, right? They can easily do stuff like that. So it's like, okay, you and your friends, like your squad or whatever, can like get access to this like one seed, and you guys will just play it and play it and play it until someone beats it. And then like stuff like that sounds
It
Yeah.
super
does.
fun, man. Like
It does.
indirect PvP like that, it sounds super fun and engaging. Like it's everything I kind of wanted from Fall Guys, because the one thing I don't like about Fall Guys, and this is going to sound really silly, but it's the fact that I have to play with all these other freaking scrubs who are going to screw up my run and like do all sorts of other stuff, which I get is part of the fun, and there is definitely some fun to that. But if I could play something like this that's purely based absolutely on your performance alone, that sounds amazing. It sounds
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think you only get one shot.
Yeah,
Once you
I think that's what it
fail
is.
that temple, it's like you're not allowed to play it again. So every run is like, I guess that was the one of the problems with Fall Guys, is like once you play a lot and a lot, a lot, it's just like,
Mm-hmm. Get ready for
you
people
can
to sell
just kind of,
NFTs of their runs.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, be like, it just kind of gets either like stale, or like everybody gets like they know like the meta optimal routes, and even people who aren't even that good are like winning now because they just like follow these meta routes or whatever the strategy. But in this other game, like it's purely performance. You can't plan ahead. It's just like you've got to deal with stuff as it comes. I'm so excited for this game.
I'm excited for it too. And just to your last point, to be fair to Fall Guys, part of the fun was trying to find that optimal route and everything. But yeah, once you've done that
True.
10 times, 20 times, it just becomes kind of stale. Where, what's this game called? Abyss? What? Phantom Abyss?
Phantom Abyss.
Yeah. Once you do that, or the fact that once you do the run, it's unavailable to you. That's cool. It's
Very
and
cool.
I do like the arcade aspect that Jake, like that you said, where who has the high score. Oh, this person has 508 runs under their belt, and you can see it like you could in an actual arcade game thing. You
right,
you
like
sign in, and you
because
see
it
the
really
person at the
shows-
top.
Like you said, it since it isn't the same, like hopefully it's going to be different enough that it won't get stale like that. But if it is that hard and it is that different every time, then you could be like, look, this person consistently clears, which just means like they haven't just put so much time into that they got good at this one pattern in this one spot. Like
right.
it's that they have just been really good at progressing with the game as it comes, rather than just spending a lot of time on one level, and so yeah, I think it'll
Memorizing
definitely be a point of pride. But again, that depends on how complicated the game is. Maybe the game only does so many things, people do figure out like a meta in it. They're like, okay, well, we know now, how crazy like speedrunners get with games. It's like, oh, if you turn here and you jump backwards 3 times and hit this stone with a stick, like it changes the whole game. I mean, who knows what
you
people
start
are
playing
gonna
Super
find
Mario,
out.
and then
Yeah, there'll be stuff like, oh, when you see this spike trap on the right, this always happens like this many squares down, and you can do this to avoid it, and like all that stuff. Who knows? But hopefully, games are more complicated than this game will be more complicated than that, and it won't just be a trivial. I mean, it's a trivial. What do they call that? Novelty idea.
But that's exactly what I was thinking. That exact same thing.
But that doesn't mean that it can't be amazing. And I think that you're right. Where that game could shine in my mind is the different modes and the accessibility for groups and friends and just all that in general. Because I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I know I've had this feeling with games that I'm like, man, this game is awesome, but if it just had these other things to go along with it, it could have been so much better. Like if it just had this one feature, it would have popped so much harder. And
right,
I can't think of an example, but that would be something that this game is like, if it did support something like, here you can buy a friend's pass and you guys get this much stuff to do together, and it's just for you. Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I did think about that because like I have a pretty good understanding of how procedural stuff works, and a lot of it is like very block based. Like you build something from hand generally, and then you put it into the machine, and it's just like, okay, put these puzzle pieces together. So you have like a bunch of puzzle pieces, and then the game just kind of like reconfigures them in different interesting ways, and you can set a certain amount of variables. So like you said, if it's like speedrunners and people are just running into a room and they go, oh, this is spike block type A, and so I always, in spike block type A, you always run exactly here and jump at this exact moment, right? Like there needs to be just enough variety to be able to make that kind of meta and like kind of bringing it more into the mundane each run of like, or after a while, there needs to be enough variety to break that to where that's like an unviable way. But yeah, that's certainly something that I'll
because you could say, oh yeah, every run is different, but like only one thing changes in one room between some of them, and
or they're just like said, in a different order.
Yeah, if it's like sections, and like the sections only, like there's A, B, C section, and then in A section there can only be so many different types, but then mixed with B section there's, but if it can get more complicated than just like that block building switching around only so many ways.
Yeah. Right. Another thing I'm curious too is how they're going to handle the difficulty. Like, because they have to straddle a very fine line between this is difficult, and so it's gonna take a long time to beat. Because otherwise, what's the point of the ghosts? You know, like it's gonna have there's gonna have to be a certain amount of challenge to it, but it can't be so challenging that you can't beat it on your first. Well, I don't even know if you should. Well, no, actually, yes, I do think you should be able. There should be the possibility of you beating. Well, I don't know. I'm talking out loud, and so I'm trying to formulate what I actually believe as I'm talking. But I'm
Sure.
Thinking.
yeah, I'm wondering if you should if every level should have the ability to be beaten on its first run. But then would that make each level too easy and too trivial? Or will it be just hard enough that the likelihood of you beating it on your first run is very low, but there's still that possibility there. I'm just trying to figure out how to turn the dial to increase the amount of challenge but also keep the funness and keep wanting you keep coming back so you can keep trying it because you think, okay, I'll get this next one, I'll be able to get, or this next one I'll be able to get on my first try. I don't know. I don't know how they would challenge that, but I there's in Mario Maker, I watch a lot of YouTubers that do Mario Maker stuff, and there's different levels. There's easy, medium, expert, and then super expert. And there's one of the things that a lot of them do is they call them skipless super expert runs, and whenever they die, the run ends. And so they try and see how many super expert, like the highest caliber of craziness of levels in Mario Maker, how many of those levels they can go through and beat it on the very first try without losing a life. Because if they lose a life, they kill the run and they start completely over. And so sometimes they'll go in and they'll die that very first level. And then sometimes they'll be like 15 levels in. And it's just, you can tell, like even my palms start to sweat watching the video. Like, oh crap, is this next level going to be the one that ends their streak? And it's ridiculously difficult. And it takes an amazing amount of skill. But that possibility is still there that they could do it on their first run. So that's kind of what's motivating my thoughts for this game, like how I'm shaking the camera, how they would be able to do, stuff like that.
Yeah, and the difference is those levels are curated and handcrafted by people who are really good at making those levels, presumably. And the reality of this game is that's not going to be able to be the case.
Sometimes those are like just hot garbage levels though, too. Like there's plenty of those in there.
I think
Sometimes
Mario Maker devolved into hot garbage so fast because the internet just like wants to troll each other so hard.
And yet people still manage to beat those though. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, they have to be beatable, but
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think you're prone to like those kind of garbage levels with and without the procedural. Like players will make garbage levels, and procedural generation can also make garbage levels. So it's it's hard to say which ones can be worse or has the potential to be worse.
I'm saying that the player made ones have the potential to be better in my mind.
I think so. I think
that's what I was trying to say. I was like, they know if they play the game really well and they know how to make the flow of like, yes, this is very difficult, but it makes sense and flows to a person who is a very high level player. Is the computer going to be able to do that when making these levels for this other game? Or is it just going to be like, oops, this thing was here. Like, there's no flow to this. Like, your skill didn't actually matter because, it was just here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think about when it comes to like beating stuff for the first time, a YouTuber, one of my favorite YouTuber, Matthew Mitosis, he talked about this in his Wonderful 101 video, where it's been a while since I've watched this video, but it's basically like
I thought it was Beautiful Joe.
What did I say? Oh,
Wonderful 101.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Beautiful Joe, pretty sure.
It was Beautiful Joe, yeah. And so he talked about inherent fairness and initial fairness, where like some games like lean more towards like you have a very high chance of completing something the very first time, and other games lean into you have virtually no chance to complete something the very first time. And a lot of games have to have like some kind of semblance of balance. So, I mean, I would imagine that this game will hinge mostly on the idea that it has that a lot of that initial, I guess, initial fairness, if I even am
Yeah,
getting
I was
those
gonna
terms
ask.
right.
So
But
what's the two? So say it again. So it's initial
I
fairness and
I believe it's
we should
initial
go back and
fairness.
watch it. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
been a while
No, you're
Basically,
since
good.
it's
I've.
like
Yeah.
it's like is it something that's going to take a lot of trial and built to take a lot of trial and error rather than built to just throw a curveball at you that you can overcome and maybe feel really good about overcoming it early. Like that's
Right.
in my mind that's
Yeah.
how it is. It's like because some things are built obviously for trial and error. They're like, no, we just want you to fail here and figure out why you're failing and think about it. Whereas yeah, the other one just comes from like, okay, what can you intuit what is going to happen based on the things we've already shown you? Whereas the other one is like,
Right.
we haven't shown you this maybe before yet, or there's just no rhyme or reason to it. You just have to figure it out. Yeah. So
And
it's
that's
to me, it's like intuitive play that you're being led into, or like basically running into a brick wall on accident and having to figure out how to get over it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's part of my question, the root of my question, because like once you try it once, that's it. There's no trial and
Yeah,
error
it's
in this
over.
Yeah,
game.
with
So
this
like
game.
that's
But the
yeah,
mechanics can also be the trial and error of it, like
that's
you know,
true.
figuring out
Yeah,
the
that's a
flow
good point.
of things.
Yeah.
It's not like
Like
you're not going to get better at the game in general if you just play it a lot, unless they change the controls every run too. They're like, no, you just have now you have to plug in
That would be
Guitar
crazy.
Hero. You have to play this with the
now you
Guitar
play
Hero
with
controller.
bananas.
Yeah, something stupid.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, the game's
DK
deleted. You can't play
jungle
it.
beat bongos. You have to clap and yeah. Um yeah, I mean even something like Dark Souls has that kind of initial and inherent fairness.
That's what I was
right?
going to
Like
ask you is
most
what would you call Dark Souls in that? Because I'm not, I would say it's more initial fairness.
Yeah, like I would say most of Dark Souls can be dealt with fairly and in a safe way and the very first time if you're paying attention. There are definitely instances in Dark Souls where, especially when I'm like, because this is like a thing I do apparently, but when I have friends around that play games, one of the things I like to do is sit them down and play Dark Souls. I'm like, have you ever played Dark Souls? And they go, no, I've never heard of this game. Okay, you play games, right? Sit down. I want to watch you play this game for like 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. Just because I'm fascinated by the new player experience in general with video games. Dark Souls is my favorite game, so I do this kind of weird
I was
thing
going to
that
say, let's not get too deep into this because I will actually want to do Dark Souls soon. And we, like a whole topic in general. And we're running
Sure.
out of time.
Yeah. Sure, that's true. So
This is a nice teaser though.
yeah, there are things that happen in Dark Souls that I will steer players around, right? There's like one thing at the beginning of the game that's like that I think is kind of I'll call like a cheap shot. I think they're a cheap shot. There's like one cheap shot, I don't say anything, and they run into the cheap shot, and it's like, oh, that was, it's like you could have technically known that was going to happen if you were really careful and paying attention to a point where it was be unreasonable, in my opinion. But that's one thing I don't say. But there's like a thing later, like an hour later, that's like really unreasonable that I always mention. Like, listen, you've just done X, Y, or Z thing that was like a big deal. You're gonna die almost guaranteed that the next thing that's gonna happen. There's almost nothing you can do to avoid what's gonna happen. So I always just say, hey, just a heads up. Right now, do this, this, and this. It sounds really weird what I'm telling you to do, but just do this, this, and this, and you're gonna be alive.
See,
I
but
know
I
And they
see
exactly
do
what
it,
you're
that.
and then
talking
the
about.
stuff happens.
I see that type of design in Dark Souls as not like mechanically trying to derive something there. It's more that those parts of Dark Souls are just a part of the feeling they want you to have in general when playing the game. Is like that can just happen at any moment and that it's going to happen sometimes. Like it's so you're supposed to yeah, like yeah, if you see a black knight or whatever, and you walk up to him and there's nothing weird going on, and you're a really skilled player, you have the ability to just take care of it, no problem, if you know what you're doing. But the way that they build, there's traps, there's things to kind of a little bit scare you, and just yeah, completely like crazy over the top unfair things that they throw at you every once in a while. But it's not the main Like, it's not the main thing about the game. It's inherent to the world that they built, and they want you to just feel that every once in a while. They don't want you to get too full of yourself and be like, oh man, I haven't died in like 4 levels. I'm fucking ridiculous. Like, they want your ego to get knocked down a little bit and be like, hey, you're not bigger than this world. You may be really good, but you're not bigger than this world. Like,
right. There is lots of that in Dark Souls, and I 100% agree with you that that's an important aspect of playing Dark Souls. The one consultation, the one, there's a word for it. There's the one concession.
concession. I don't know. I didn't know what you're trying to say.
The one constellation. The one concession I will make to that is most of those things have some level of fairness to it, right? I won't mention any of them because that will spoil some of the surprise of falling into those, which you most likely will. But most of the time, I think you should fall into those things and be like, okay, that was either one of two scenarios. You'll say to yourself, if I was paying more attention, if I was being more cognizant, I could have avoided this situation to happen. It would have been difficult, but I could have done it. Or two, you initially go, that was ridiculously unfair. What the heck? That's terrible. Like, how can the game do this? Like, that's awful. But then later you go, I see now. I'm starting to see the breadcrumbs that led me to this point, right? I think both of those situations are totally fine. There's a third scenario where something ridiculously unfair happens and you don't eventually come to understand that your mistake, right? Like, if you don't understand your mistake initially and you think it's just unfair, that's fine. If it truly is unfair, like you find out later that there was just really no way that you were going to know, you just got murdered for no reason. I don't know. I fall on the side of like, yeah, brutally obscure things is one thing, but just like outright killing the character just because it's like there was virtually nothing that could be done. I don't know. I love Dark Souls, but there's there's only one point in the whole game that I can really think about that, and that's that one point. And maybe it can be avoided. Maybe players who are smarter than me could avoid it, but it's just like, I don't know. It's that one. I think it's the only part in the whole game where I tell someone of like, listen, just avoid this thing. It's really kind of ridiculous, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm making a mistake in that. I don't know. But I do feel the oppression is part of the charm of Dark Souls, and it's a great oppression of the difficulty and
that's
the
why I
atmosphere.
think Dark Souls is a weaving of all of those things, and that's one thing that that's why I think that's why it appeals to so many people, because I mean, and maybe not, I can't even put my finger exactly on the things I like about it, but you know, because it's just so esoteric about everything that it does, and maybe
it's a master class in that kind of
it
thing.
it has enough of both things to keep you going. My problem with it again. Well, let's just not talk about. I don't want to get into Dark Souls.
Yeah, we won't go too far into Dark Souls. I
It's
can literally talk about Dark Souls.
I actually wanted to come in this
forever.
week just asking you guys about Dark Souls because of other conversations I've been having and just had it on the brain, and Elden Ring looming. But anyway, yeah, George, did you have something to throw in there?
No, I think I know exactly which point Graham's. Well, I absolutely know which point Graham's talking about because he told me about it.
What? Oh, did I tell you about it?
Yeah.
Did you make it that far?
Yeah.
What point is it?
I mean, do you want me to spoil it, or do you want me to even I guess we'll just say it. The dragon part on the bridge.
Yeah, the dragon part.
Yeah.
On the bridge.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's very well known by this point.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think back to that moment. And I don't absolutely see any way I could have known that was going to happen, and I would have gotten absolutely blasted.
There's only one way that you could possibly deal with it, right? Is because you go out on the bridge. So you come out of a door and you go onto the bridge, okay? And your natural inclination is to go on the bridge. Now, there are some scorch marks, so you could be wary. But the problem is, if you run back when you hear the dragon coming, because you're going to be like a little wary, unless you know exactly that you can't go, because if you go backwards and don't go through the same door and you see a pair of stairs, a lot of times you'll still die because the fire extends really far out. So you would have to go beelining it exactly from that position at the exact moment you hear the dragon and go right into that door to dodge the fire. But you don't even know the fire is coming, because the last time you saw that dragon, he just showed up and clamped himself down on the ground. So you're not going to think necessarily, I mean, I guess the scorch marks can help inform that decision, but you may panic, turn around, and be like, stairs, I got to go down, I got to get out of here. And so you go down the stairs, and you'll try to go down the stairs, and you'll likely get flamed.
Again, they just I think that's wanting to create that situation of, they don't know if you're going to get over it or not, but they don't really care because they want you to feel a certain way. You know,
which I would 100% agree with, if the biggest problem with that whole setup is you've just killed a boss and it was like a major hurdle, right? This is the player's first boss. It's very difficult for players to overcome this boss, despite the boss actually being pretty easy in general. So players finally overcome this. They have a ton of souls. Then they're killed with these souls in something that's like borderline completely unfair. So now they've dropped all of this. It's like a huge mood killer. Not to mention, just steps past that is a shortcut that brings them back to the bonfire that they will then spawn at, that they've killed the boss. They'll have to come all the way back around. It just doesn't, for me, it serves more as a momentum kill than adding to the atmosphere. I do agree that it does add to the atmosphere, and if it wasn't for the fact that you had just killed a boss and are literally on the cusp of a shortcut, if you had got to the shortcut and then come up, because you have to like go down, grab the shortcut, and then come back up to the bridge, because that shortcut's in the middle. If you come up from that shortcut, you've unloaded your souls, you got a shortcut, you come up, and then you go more onto the bridge, and then you get murderized, no problem. Because then it's like, okay, it was a cheap kill, but they set you up for it.
Again, maybe that's a tutorial in, hey, your souls are in danger. We will take them from you. To me, it's just a part of it. Like,
but they don't do that any other time.
I agree
though.
with you that but it's a tutorial. That's why it's a tutorial. It's like, hey,
it's a tutorial for something that won't happen.
You think you're hot shit because you just beat this boss, but like, we're going to kill you sometimes. Like, don't get too involved in it. And hey, and you might lose your souls. Again, I agree with you about how it's so momentum crushing, but I think that's what they just might have wanted at that point. It's like,
that's true. I mean, you may be
and
right.
I don't agree. I agree with you. I don't know if it's right. I want to have a whole conversation.
And I don't know if it's right or wrong
about Dark Souls, but
it's very interesting to contemplate, because it is a good point. Like, I don't know necessarily if I make the right move by telling people that. Maybe because part of the atmosphere of Dark Souls, now we're really, okay, I'll just leave it at that. So, because I was about to get in the atmosphere.
Yeah, we can't. We have no time left, and there's so many things
we'll add
to
it
say.
to our list of, how many things are in our list now? Like,
not that
10?
many.
Gosh. I'm sure Dark Souls is already on that list.
Probably.
Dark Souls is looming as a hardcore whole episode for sure.
That's true. I'll add it to the list. It's on the list now.
Right.
Dark Souls, what a darling. But we're just about out of time today. Hopefully the quality setup, we've had a little bit of a setup difference with the audio stuff, so hopefully it doesn't come through too harshly, but soon I'll have fiber and we'll be back and up and running even better than ever. So thank you all. Thank you, first of all, you two, for joining.
Absolutely.
It was a little bit last minute, but this was excellent. We've got our Nox conversation. We haven't done multiplayer yet. I think most people have gone through the story, or most of the story, or some portion of it. But hopefully we'll get some multiplayer going this week, and then we'll have our conversation. It will be our next podcast. So,
assuming the move goes well for me and the internet is up. Well, you guys would go on without me if I don't have internet, but
sure.
I don't know.
We'll figure.
I'm kind of jumping into the same situation as you. Like, I don't know what's gonna come out on the other end. So
exactly. Well, I'm just glad that we were able to even have this conversation.
The show will go on.
So
yes,
the show will go on. We'll figure something out, and even if we have to postpone it to have everyone there, we'll figure out what's best, and we'll update our socials for it if need be. So
I'll just drive.
But thank you.
I'll just drive over to George's house real quick.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Brilliant. You guys can sit next to each other. It'll be adorable.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We will see you all next week.
Goodbye.